Lloyd was an orphan who ended up being adopted by the most powerful S-rank wizard, eventually becoming an adventurer himself. Yet his party ended up kicking him out because they saw him as nothing more than a useless support mage. The truth, however, was that no one except his mentor knew he was actually the destined hero who would one day bring down the Demon King. When Lloyd was still a young boy, his hometown was completely destroyed in the Demon King's attack. Somehow, he survived, and an S-rank adventurer wizard named Merlin found him. She, too, had lost someone dear in that same battle, and perhaps as a way to cope with her grief, she decided to adopt Lloyd and take him in as her apprentice. Upon bringing him to her home, the first thing she did was conjure a blazing fireball out of thin air. She told the startled Lloyd that if he couldn't produce fire through magic by evening, he would have to go without dinner. Lloyd spent the entire day determined to make it work, and when he finally succeeded, he eagerly rushed to show Merlin. She gave him a dry remark about doing well, promptly blew out his tiny flame, then roasted him figuratively and literally, saying he still had a long journey ahead. Soon after, she demonstrated how to draw water straight from the earth. Lloyd managed to pull it off instantly on his first try, but instead of praising him, Merlin responded with her trademark sarcasm and drenched him in a torrent of water, showing him this was how it should truly be done. Days rolled by, and Lloyd kept learning various forms of magic. Yet no matter what he did, Merlin was never satisfied. Even when he crafted a detailed ice sculpture in her likeness, she animated the statue with magic, had it grab him, then enlarged it just to point out that his abilities still weren't enough. She shattered the sculpture, dropping him to the ground, and the naive Lloyd accepted her words, vowing to work harder to improve. A few days later, Merlin suffered a brutal hangover, and Lloyd healed her with magic. The first thing she did upon recovery was give him a warm hug and thank him, though moments later she dragged him outside for more practice. Time continued to pass until one night Merlin sat studying ancient texts, her face marked with unease and pain. Lloyd walked in to call her for dinner, and as she stood up, the book slipped from her hands. Lloyd bent to help her pick it up, and the instant his fingers touched it, every bit of knowledge within the tome flooded into his mind, knocking him unconscious. Merlin panicked, realizing he had just absorbed an ancient spell simply by contact, a sign that he bore the traits of the Chosen One. This stirred up traumatic memories from her past, and she resolved not to let Lloyd fall into the same mistakes she once made. That night, while Lloyd slept soundly, Merlin entered his room and placed a sealing spell on his forehead through a gentle kiss, locking away the knowledge of that dangerous magic. She wanted to ensure he would not come to rely too much on his own overwhelming power. To steer him toward a safer path, she even advised him to become a white mage, one who specialized in supporting other adventurers. She taught him restorative spells that could make fruit ripen instantly, then casually demonstrated her own far superior ability by reviving the dying tree with ease. From then on, Merlin continued to train him in magic and general knowledge, but whenever the subject of ancient spells arose, she dismissed it by claiming such magic had vanished centuries ago. More time went by, and one day she blindfolded Lloyd, led him deep into a forest teeming with dangerous beasts, and handed him only a small knife. She ordered him to return home within a week using his magic, then vanished without giving him a chance to speak. Left standing there confused and anxious, Lloyd soon encountered a wolf monster. He barely escaped its attacks by scrambling up a nearby tree, quickly realizing that the healing and support spells he knew couldn't defeat such creatures. His only option was to make the trek home while staying out of danger. First, he used his magical sensing ability to locate the direction of home and began walking toward it. Along the way, he used magic to ripen wild fruits for food. At night, he worked on inventing new spells that could help him survive, like things to boost his speed or locate resources. Step by step, he moved through the perilous forest, continuing his solitary journey while experimenting with magic that could keep him fed, protected, and moving forward. The next day, Lloyd nearly ends up as breakfast for a giant spider monster, but thanks to the speed-enhancing spell he created, he manages to escape unharmed. He refuses to drop the spell until he reaches home, and the moment he arrives at the door, his body finally gives in, and he collapses from pure exhaustion. Time moves on quickly, and Lloyd grows into a teenager who begins to take an interest in the world beyond his home after stumbling across a magazine about the nearby city. Merlin's way of dealing with him changes too. Instead of dragging him out to practice spells, she now interrupts his daily chores to push him into creating completely new magic techniques. Her ideas tend to pop up at the most random times, and she forces him to work through the night after night, to bring them to life. The endless pressure becomes too much for Lloyd, and one evening, he makes up his mind to leave home and explore the outside world. The next morning, Merlin finds his room empty, with nothing left behind except the city magazine lying on the desk. She instantly realizes her boy has reached the rebellious stage. Meanwhile, Lloyd reaches the bustling city and quickly gets swept into its fast pace. He spends nearly all the money he brought on food, and wonders how he might earn more, when suddenly a recruitment flyer for an adventuring party smacks into his face. Without noticing that a stranger is quietly watching him from a distance, Lloyd decides to try his luck at becoming an adventurer. His first mission with the party turns out to be facing a cyclops, which excites him since he has never seen anyone fight such a dangerous creature before. The cyclops starts overwhelming Alan, the leader and main attacker of the group, who calls for the healer to cast a healing spell on him. Lloyd joins in by instantly placing a support enchantment on every member of the party, though no one seems to realize it. The archer lands a shot straight into the cyclops' eye, blinding it, and as the monster lashes out at the archer, the party's tanker, Rena, steps in to block. She's stunned to feel almost no force behind the creature's blow. Meanwhile, the party mage restrains the cyclops, giving Alan the perfect opening to finish it with one decisive slash. This victory makes Alan a local celebrity overnight, hailed by the people as a hero. Lloyd, on the other hand, is completely overlooked, and given only a handful of coins as payment because he is considered just another low-tier white mage. He accepts the meager amount, believing that is all his efforts are worth. When Alan suggests a celebratory drink, Lloyd quickly declines, explaining he doesn't drink. The women in the group are annoyed that he turned Alan down, but Alan himself doesn't care. He never truly saw Lloyd as part of the team anyway. To him, all white mages are dead weight, only included to meet guild requirements, and it makes no difference whether Lloyd or someone else fills the role. Rena, however, has her doubts. She senses there is something unusual about Lloyd that no one else seems to be noticing. Meanwhile, the person keeping a secret watch on Lloyd is revealed to be Merlin's informant, who delivers her regular updates about her former student. Merlin says she has no concern about him as long as he doesn't grow arrogant. The spy then asks if she regrets what happened in the past, which causes her to bite her lip as memories flood back, memories of the battle against the Demon Lord when she fought alongside the hero Sybil. Unable to defeat them, the Demon Lord chose to self-destruct, wiping out an entire city in the process. Sybil then used ancient magic to revive everyone killed in the attack, but in doing so, he sacrificed his own life. Losing him struck Merlin deeply. While adopting Lloyd began as nothing more than a way to cope with that pain, she never expected him to turn out to be a chosen one like Sybil. She swears to herself that she will not repeat her mistakes and will do whatever it takes to keep Lloyd safe. Back in the city, Alan's fame continues to rise as he slays more powerful monsters, thanks to Lloyd's unnoticed support magic. Only Rena, with her vague suspicions, has any idea of the truth. One night, Alan receives a request from soldiers to eliminate a group of golems that have been killing troops near a patrol station. Confident it will be an easy task, Alan accepts. The party travels to the patrol site, and Lloyd uses his magic sense to locate the enemy, discovering they will have to go behind a waterfall to reach them. Once they enter, Alan engages the golems, but the fight becomes harder when a summoner begins creating fresh ones to replace each defeat. Lloyd realizes that the summoner is using a magic stone to create new golems, and he quickly buffs the archer, telling her to shoot the summoner. She follows his instructions, and her arrow somehow curves around a pillar to strike the summoner in the chest. Lloyd then instructs the wizard to teleport the magic staff to him, and he immediately seals it as well. This does not sit well with Alan, who believes that only he has the authority to give orders to his party. Alan then decides to focus on the golem, but Lloyd warns him to step back because the creature is out of control after losing its master. Ignoring the warning, Alan charges ahead, forcing Lloyd to use a special magic to catch up and save him from being crushed by the stone giant. Alan becomes furious with him, but before he can say anything, the golem powers down, giving him the opportunity to destroy it. Once the mission is completed, Alan wastes no time in firing Lloyd, claiming that he is useless and always hides in the back. Having been gaslighted for so long into believing he has no real skills, Lloyd accepts the decision without resistance. He searches for another party to join, but no positions are available, leaving him disappointed. Fortunately, a girl arrives at the guild looking for a free white mage urgently, but the receptionist explains that finding someone who meets her conditions will be difficult. With no other options, the receptionist points toward Lloyd. As soon as the pink-haired girl confirms that he is an unemployed white mage, she immediately grabs him and drags him along with her. The story will be continued in future videos. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.